Hey guys, we're going to call the meeting to order. Hey Ram, can you do me a favor? If you're out there, can you just tell us if you can hear us? Is Ram there still? No. Is he gone?
But Chris can.
Chris, yeah, Chris, can you hear us? Yep, Chris, you can hear us. Yeah, perfect. What the hell is going on there?
It's a delay. It's going back to Russia and coming back.
I don't know what to do. What do we do?
Don't you?
We can hear.
Hang on. We have a little bit of echo, folks, so hang on one second while we.
Is everybody off in here?
I'm.
Hey,
20 seconds behind. Oh, that's a delay.
With the recording.
somebody hacked into this.
Wasn't doing that earlier.
All right, test.
Oh. We can stop the orange.
Wait, we were just on mute a second ago and they still picked you guys up. So how did that happen? We were just unmuted. Anyone else, a different computer?
All right, this is a test. 1, 2, test.
Chris, are you only hearing us once?
Yeah, you're actually coming in fine on my end.
We still get a lot of feedback here. Sorry, hang on one sec.
Okay.
All right, well.
So do that.
Time to again. This is.
Try again.
Yeah, it's on.
Because I fired that up, it turned out on.
Tom said he can hear us fine, but obviously.
All right.
You're not getting.
Yeah, but we were getting all the feedback on our end. I think we should be good now. Sorry about that.
Let's give it a second.
Just want to, give a couple more minutes for them to arrive.
Exactly.
An extra 10 people on that.
Testing.
Resume the recording.
So there,
Right.
so YouTube is not on.
So YouTube is on.
It is.
When I fired it up, it started up another screen,
I see.
secondary.
All right.
Taking us off pause. We are on call to order again. Let's do a take two.
All right, so let's see.
Take two.
All right, folks, we're going to call the meeting to order at 7:06 now, since we got the technical difficulties all taken care of. Perfect. So first part of the agenda, you just want to thank everybody for coming. This is our annual meeting. It's an important annual meeting this year as we have an election. So during the election, at some point in the next couple of minutes, I, as president, will step aside and allow Sam Nandy, our vice president, to run the remainder of the meeting, at least through the election part, just to make this fair and open for everyone. So with that, before we get to the election part of the meeting, we have a couple of administrative matters that we need to go through. Rick, I think that's on you, the verification of quorum.
Yep.
Do we have a
Just want
quorum?
to, let me just share the screen and get that going as well. Sorry. This will get us-
Already on our closing remarks. Quick.
That was quick.
There we go.
All right, how about this?
There we go.
So
Beautiful.
All right.
verification of quorum. As required by our governing documents, we have to have quorum. Quorum is 10%. This year we had 6,109 owners at the time of record, which is later on identified, or there you go, right there, 11 on the 18th of October. Of that, we need 10%, which is 611. We met quorum. We sent out notice as well as required by the documents. So we have an official meeting tonight.
And so the online voting counts is
Yes, the online voting and the proxies received. All go into that.
perfect. So we have established quorum. Excellent. The next piece, we need to approve the 2020 annual meeting minutes. We usually look for a motion from the floor to accept the meeting minutes. Do we hear a motion from the floor?
I, Lisa Williams, move to approve the annual meeting minutes.
Excellent. Is there a second to that?
One second.
There we go. We have a. No, we're good. All right, so we have, all in favor of the meeting minutes has been, the motions have been made. All in favor of approving the 2020 annual meeting minutes?
Should be all the crowd.
And up there, if I want them to raise their hand.
Yeah, do we have everybody out there have to do it?
Yeah, any objections, raise your hand.
There you go.
How about that? And the minutes were, and the agenda are all provided in the chat if you need access to that.
Not seeing any hands raised for objection. The meeting minutes have been approved. All right, fair enough. Moving right along, so the election overview. So tonight, folks, we're going to be electing 2 open seats. We are going to go through the process of having the candidates speak here for 3 minutes at the end of this table, or the candidates who have decided to stay online. We have an order from which to do so. I'll turn this over to Sam in a minute, but since we have 8 candidates tonight, we are not going to take any nominations from the floor for any new candidates since we are.
Hey, just real quick, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do we want to do quick introductions?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Technical difficulty, I jumped right into it.
Yeah, fair enough. So for those online who don't know me, I'll send it around the room to the members of the HOA. I'm Brian Viola, the president.
Camera
Is the camera on? Yeah, the camera can see us, right? I'm Brian Viola, the president of the association. Jordan?
Jordan Crotty, board member, treasurer.
Sue Wolford, board member, secretary.
Sam Nandi, vice president.
Anand Mohan Dharmapuri, our board director.
Pat Martin, declare an appointed member.
Rosemary Linder, declarant appointed member.
Rick Stone, general manager and not a board member.
You're here.
Sarah, staff member.
Guys.
Lisa Williams, candidate.
Ravi Dollar, I'm candidate.
Nikki Tessa, staff member. Andrea Dow, staff member.
Oh, I just went.
And the other guy.
Do any of the other candidates online want to jump out and introduce yourselves? You should have the ability to jump on.
I'll jump in. I'm Chris Cook, candidate.
Anyone else?
Hi, this is Nabil
And I'm
Rahman.
candidate as well.
Who was the last person? I'm sorry. Was that Shannon?
Shannon Nabil.
Shannon and Bill. Thank you, guys. Anybody else?
Ram Venkatashlam is here, Chair, Election Committee.
Thank you, Ram.
Got Ron. Kelly, are you out there? And then Anon is also on the elections committee this year.
Yep.
All right, thanks. Sorry.
No, that's good. And we should have probably done that up front. All right, so as I mentioned a second ago, we will not be taking any nominations from the floor. As you can see, can you go back one? Yeah, there we go. As you can see, the calendar of the election events, we've already hit these milestones, the open call for candidates and the deadlines and so forth. So now we are here tonight, which is the last day with which to vote. Voting will be open online through 11:59 p.m. tonight for anybody who has not voted. So certainly watch the candidates' presentations, and then if you have not voted, please feel free to go online and vote. So with that, I'm going to turn over the meeting to Sam Nandi. Ram is online. Sam, if you want to take over as vice president to move the meeting forward, please.
All right, thank you, Brian. All right, this will be my last annual meeting, so I'll try to be brief and short and sweet as I can. I think we will be, I think based on what, we have about 3 minutes each for every candidate to come up and speak or, give their intros. And, I think we have well-deserved candidates. It's about 8 candidates that we have in this race today. So I would call upon each by alphabetical order here. Very first one is Mr. Ravi Balaram.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'm so grateful for the leadership of the management, board of directors, and most of all, the support of our residents. I would like to specifically thank my neighbor, Jeff Wade, for creating an amazing and professional candidate video and his spare time for fun. I also want to thank all of you as my neighbors for the many ideas and concerns which truly have helped me better understand our community and created a wonderful opportunity to get to know all of you. I've learned a tremendous amount. My comments today revolve around 2 recent events of the past week, Veterans Day and the UN COP26 Summit. Regarding the former, I'd like to take a moment to recognize our veterans of our Brambleton community for their service to our country and the sacrifices they and their families have made on our collective behalf. While we have, by all accounts, a completely free and fair election, even at the local level today, many people around the world do not have such rights. It's a reminder that freedom isn't free, a point which I'll return at the end of my remarks. With 24 years of leadership in the military and diplomacy to our country, I want to continue to lead us towards a shared vision. Regarding the summit and a shared way forward, I believe this is a useful milestone for us to co-create and reflect on a strategic vision for our community in the next 20 years. We are a diverse and growing neighborhood. As I listened to the many perspectives of our residents, and I began to understand that what we need is sustainable, smart growth. From safety concerns at road crossings and proximity of cell towers, to sufficient wellness and lifestyle amenities, to technical concerns regarding assessment adjustments and the potential cost savings, and shifting to a 501c3 nonprofit, there are certainly ways we can incrementally improve our amazing community. We are at an inflection point where I believe we can develop a strategic and smart way of growing, which is inclusive, transparent, and equitable. We may not agree on everything, but we can inform and include our residents to the maximum extent possible. I'm excited for how the next years will develop in our community and for the great work that the board of directors, the management, and the various committees will achieve toward that end. Coming full circle to the elections and my initial comments that freedom is not free, I see great potential in our community and am honored to be among the many talented candidates running for the election. I love our community and humbly seek your vote so that I can serve as a member of the board. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Robbie. All right, next up is Chris Cook.
All right, thank
You're
you.
up. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm your neighbor, Chris Cook. My wife, Adrian, my daughter, Sarah, and I have been proud Brambletonians since 2013. Since moving to this wonderful community so many years ago, we really enjoy interacting with our neighbors, whether it's walking our dog Biscuit or attending one of the number of great community events. I think my favorite is still Red Rotten Bram and Festival we just went to this past fall. It's just awesome how the community can come together and have a great time. being part of a community that's willing to chip in when help is needed is so unique and so great. That makes Bramilton wonderful. Such as charitable events. We have the Santa toy drive by the fire department. We have the angel tree that always sells out really quick. You know, it's just great how engaged and how willing to help this community is, and how willing everyone is to engage in casual conversation, whether it's around the town center or walking down the street. Everyone says hi, they smile. It just makes this community so great. And that's what makes us proud to be here. It's what makes us want to be here in the years to come. And since kicking off my candidacy for the board, I've learned that, you know, participating, you know, for Bramilton HOA and having that HOA experience really does matter, because, you know, to understand how a Bramilton HOA functions, knowing the distinctive roles of the BCA and how it's very different from our management team, their power and their limitations really is vital, because you have to take this knowledge and you have to build the bridge to accomplish what is actually achievable. And to me, that's the key to the larger success of this community for everyone. And I can honestly say that I know this community, I know how this HOA operates. I've served proudly as a resident volunteer on the Bramilton Covenants Committee for the past 7 years. And since 2018, I've served proudly as their chair. What's interesting is I did the math, and I think I've reviewed at least 8,000 applications. Now, if you think about that money-wise, it's a lot of projects in Bramilton. During my chair leadership on the Covenants Committee, we've also streamlined the review process. Nobody likes doing applications. And we've worked really hard to remove a lot of the normal items that don't need review, which has made it tons easier to improve your property and make, you know, your projects easier. And what's nice about this improvement is brought cost savings. It's brought less stress to our HOA staff, and a lot less stress and a lot more time savings to our Covenants Committee who meets every month. We often have 100, 150 applications that we strive to get through. We also led a year-long revision process of the guidelines, which made it great in the aspect of bringing this community up to modern times. A lot has changed in the past 20 years. And I also want to note that I do bring actual HOA board experience as past board president of another Loudoun community. On a professional leadership note, I want to also bring that I have legal background as an attorney, and I also have knowledge and enthusiasm involving technologies. What's great about that is
your time is up. Sorry to cut you off.
Okay.
But
I ask for your vote. Thank you.
thank you, Chris. All right, next up is Michael Gilligan. Yeah. Michael, are you on?
I see him.
All right, well,
He's been silent.
all right.
Nothing in the chat.
All right, I think we will move on to the next one, Mr. Nabilur Rahman. Nabil, you there? Yeah.
Yeah, hi everyone. Can you hear me?
Thank you. Yeah. Yes, we can.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. As we come close to the end of this year and the end of what seems to me to be a pretty long election season, I'm happy to represent myself as a candidate for the board of directors position. During this course, I'm grateful to have met several neighbors and established many new friendships. The strength, diversity, and beauty of our community really impresses me. I know we all wish the best, although from different perspectives. At the same time, I have also come to understand the varied and nuanced nature of many issues at hand. Since the BCA elections are still open, I'd like to introduce myself, outline some of the reasons why I'm running. I have been an Ashburn resident since 2005, a Brambleton resident since 2019. I work in the IT field, have a master's in that field as well. I'm running because of two key reasons. Number one, right after I moved into Brambleton, there was a fatal accident that happened right at our doorstep. And that was a huge wake-up call for me and for many of us on a long-standing traffic issues around the Belmont Ridge area, Legacy Elementary intersection. So that drove me to be passionate about safety improvements. And I've been working with this board ever since in trying to bring change, bring improvements. For that reason, I'm running to become a strong resident advocate and bring change in our HOA. I believe change is vital to bring new ideas, new perspectives, and expanding the pool of community leaders we have at our disposal. My main goals in serving Brambleton are to listen and to seek feedback from residents as we set our goals. At this point, based on the feedback I've received from listening to various residents, my high-level goals are to bring proactive results-driven safety improvements. So we don't have to wait years to request letters and then prompt the county to be able to do a Belmont Ridge safety study. The high vehicular speeds, the truck volumes can be a huge safety risk. Number two, I believe we need to have guiding principles on how the BCA prioritizes and makes decisions. All of that stemming from a strategic vision, which is vital. Number three, I strongly believe, as other candidates have spoken as well, is to keep our dues to a minimum. And that requires looking sharply at our costs and how to ensure efficiency and technology improvements. Operational processes need to be improved where possible, providing reliable schedule and so on. And lastly, one of the key themes I've heard of is being able to have enhanced communications. And that includes a variety of different things, being respectful towards each other and having resident service HOA services. So in closing, I would just like to say that I have the unique experience of actually driving traffic safety improvements within our community. My work actually led to the Brambleton streetscaping project, Northern County Safety Study.
Sorry to cut you off. Your time is up.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nabi. All right, next we have Shannon. I think she's declined to speak.
On the opportunity.
All right, okay. All right, moving on to Tracy Tranquilly. Hi, Tracy, are you there? Or muted. Can you unmute yourself?
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we
Can
can.
you, but you can't see me, right?
See you and hear you, both.
You can see me. Okay, I can't, hold on.
Hold on, we can't see you.
Okay, well, I'm just trying to figure out my Zoom, having issues here. Give me 1 minute, I'm sorry.
Okay.
We had issues here too.
Yeah, I had issues logging in as well, so just, I don't think I'm gonna figure this out, so.
I think your camera is turned back. Yeah, you have to just flip your camera this way.
You were fine until you just did whatever you did.
Yes.
We saw you the whole time.
I'm sorry, I'm not great with this. I don't know how to fix it. Well, I'll start, I just want to start talking. I don't want to waste your time. I'm sorry.
Right. Go ahead. Yeah,
so I'm Tracy Tranquilly, and I have lived in Brambleton for over 12 years, and I've lived in the Ashburn area for 20 years. I'm excited about the opportunity to serve on our community board of directors. I have worked both personally and professionally in the community association industry for 25 years, and I've served on many boards and committees, as well as represented developer boards. I have worked for a local management company as a senior manager for over 10 years, where I managed the oversight of condominiums, homeowner associations, and large-scale master communities. I have a vast knowledge of all association operations, financial expertise, leadership skills, and a thorough understanding of all vendors, contracts, and the bidding process. I understand the time commitment, fiduciary responsibility, and confidentiality requirement required to serve on the board. I would like to bring this knowledge and expertise to the Brambleton Community Association. My goals for the community are driven by the overall greater good of the community, and a few of these examples of these goals are budget and assessments. As the community continues to grow and mature, there will be a larger need for maintenance repairs, renovations of existing structures, revamping of amenities, additional staffing, and other necessary costs. I plan to work with the board of directors and the association staff to ensure the proper assessments are approved and we have the proper resources for all future expenditures while keeping assessment amounts reasonable for the homeowners. Safety and security. I will work with both the board of directors and association employees to continue making Brambleton a safe and secure community to live in. All association common areas and amenities should be safe and secure for homeowner use. I will bring awareness to community safety and security issues and will ensure appropriate actions are taken with existing and recommended safety campaigns in the community. I think it's also very important to build the community relationships. Brambleton strives to be a diverse and welcoming community. As the community has grown, Brambleton Community Association has expanded the focus on lifestyle and community engagement programs. I will assist with Brambleton's vision of striving to be a diverse and welcoming community. Ensuring events which give back and benefit local charitable organizations is a priority. Helping to create events focusing on neighborhoods and events desired by homeowners to help foster a better sense of community for all. A few other important goals would be to work on the Verizon Fios technology to ensure that technology has that we're competitive with the cost and that we have the most cutting edge technology available, and also forward thinking to ensure the financial resources and strategies are in place for the next 5, 10, and 15 years for the community.
Right, Tracy, your time is up.
Okay, I'm done
Thank
anyway.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Yeah. All right, next up is Brian Weiler.
Folks, thank you. My name is Brian Viola, for those who don't know me. I am a 19-year resident of Brambleton and a 9-year member of this board. And I have been given the honor of being your first resident elected president of our HOA. What I'm here to convince you of tonight is why you should vote for me again. In the past, you've given me your trust in being your voice on this board while it was still dominated by developer representatives. Over the years I have served, I have learned to work with folks of this community. Yes, that does include working with the developer. But I have also worked with the BCA staff and local politicians and members of this HOA in our community. Other than me, the most resident experience on this HOA after tonight will only be 2 years. So I'm obviously not here to offer change, but I'm here to offer leadership. That is the type of leadership that comes with board experience in adapting to a growing neighborhood, experience having a working knowledge of our community needs and contracts as we continue to evolve to a complete resident controlled board, and the experience and connections I have in working with the county on issues that affect us all, including safety and traffic. I outlined 5 goals in my candidate form if I were reelected. I want to reiterate them here now. I will, if reelected, continue to oversee and manage the openness and beauty of our community so that it continues to be a place that people want to move to. I will continue to oversee and manage the inclusivity and welcoming nature of our community through programs, websites, festivals, so that folks want to stay living here. I will continue to oversee and manage the finances and individual homeowner dues so that they are always used effectively and for the benefit of us all. I will continue to work with the board and the committees that report up to us so that we always provide the best services and functions of any community here in Loudoun County. And I will continue to always be available to any resident or group of residents who wish to discuss anything with me or have the opportunity to address the full board. Now, I've been asked multiple times why I want to do this again. The answer is as simple now as it was then. This is my community, and I believe in stepping up and serving. Like you all, we had many choices in where we could live when we moved here. We all chose Brambleton over anywhere else. There was something special and different about it then, as there is now. I believe in working for this community, keep making it that special place for my kids, for my neighbors, for my friends, and for my adopted family. In closing, I gained your trust on several occasions to represent you on this board. Hopefully, I still have your trust and have earned your vote yet again. Thank you. Just as an aside, I did promise the Keep It Classy Brambleton guys online that if reelected, I would urge the board to consider building an adults-only oasis and legacy park, complete with hammocks.
All right, thank
And
you.
your time's up.
Thank you, Brian. All right, the last, Lisa Williams.
Good evening. Imagine what Brambleton would be like if we knew who was in our community and whether each person felt valued and seen. Oh,
Sorry.
Yeah, hold on.
yeah, okay. Oh, there we go. And imagine if we let down our defenses and found ways to listen to each other, to communicate with each other, and to learn from each other. Could you imagine what would be possible? Hi, I'm Lisa Williams, and I see incredible possibilities for Brambleton. Our potential as a diverse community is exciting. Brambleton has been setting itself apart for 20 years, and it's positioned to do so for the next 20 years. In October of 2019, I left my corporate job to live my purpose of inclusion and belonging. And this brings me to why I'm running. I'm running because of my own experiences this year here in Brambleton. My experience is the catalyst for my campaign. In January of this year, I decided to share with the HOA that as a Black woman, I was offended by a symbol being publicly displayed by a neighbor. I learned through that process that we don't have any standards on inclusivity. As a result, I've attended many meetings, spoke with the HOA, Covenants Committee, Board of Directors, and I left many of those experiences feeling unheard and dismissed. That, though, ignited my passion to focus my efforts on inclusivity here in the neighborhood that I love, Brambleton. Our community is rich in diverse cultures, ethnicities, sexual preferences, religious beliefs, and has a multitude of identities that really is representative of our world. I believe that this diversity provides us each with the opportunity to expand our potential as we learn more about each other and we learn and talk with each other every day. If I'm elected, I really want to focus on improving communication with the community and the HOA and the board. I want all neighbors to feel that they belong. I want to make it easier to communicate both successes and opportunities for improvement. I think that collaborative, easy to access leadership is important. If I'm elected, I will start in-person neighborhood listening sessions. I believe engaging with the different neighborhoods will ensure open and active dialogue on topics that may be unique to that section of Brambleton. I'll also work with the board and the HOA to create an inclusivity standard that is built from an inclusion and belonging implementation plan that I believe will allow us to better reflect our community that we are. With over 20 years in corporate America, I possess the business acumen to handle the business side of the role. My real interest is to bring the communication and people side to the Brambleton board to ensure all of us are represented and have a voice in Brambleton, if only to be heard in a respectful, collaborative way. How we act matters. I believe having a woman of color on the board will bring a new perspective, facilitate awareness, and drive deeper dialogue on issues facing our diverse community. I humbly request your vote. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. All right, with that, we have concluded the candidates for tonight. You want to come back on the board, Brian?
You can keep running the meeting.
All right. Okay, I think the instructions are up there. The voting is still open till midnight, 11:59 PM, right? And there's a link there, conducted by Ballotier. We have ballots which will be counted tomorrow at 8:30 AM at the BCA office.
Yeah, there's going to be the proxies, the paper proxies get tallied with the results from the online.
Okay.
That will be, tallied in the morning.
So the winners will be announced by about noonish.
Noon is the goal. Yep.
Okay.
Shouldn't take that long.
All right. So we have, so Pat, you are on that for the counting process, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, so the county will go by the elections committee and the inspectors of elections.
Okay.
Be present to do that. Staff will assist in that, but is not part of that process.
All right. Can we move on to the next one? Is it 20 years of slideshow?
All right, yeah, so we've got a couple presentations, if you don't mind me, want to jump in here?
Yes. Go.
This is our 20th year in existence. Brambleton's been around for 20 years. It was the focus on our festival this past, what was it, I guess, last month. So we put together a little slideshow that just kind of quickly goes through some kind of before and after pictures that we just wanted to share with everyone in recognition of our 20 years.
Remember that?
Wow.
Roll it.
What?
Nice. That's a good video out there.
Let's try that again. All right, so that was a quick 20-year history. I guess we received chats that you could not hear the volume.
On the video.
I'm not even gonna try to mess with that. And that also has the developers. After I give my little presentation, we've got a developers video for an update of the zoning that we will post to Facebook and to our website. That has an update with the developers. I apologize for any audio issues there.
The only thing they missed was music.
It was just music, yeah. We didn't much, and Brian wasn't singing, just chats that wanted Brian to sing or something. So, that was a quick flash on the 20 years, the board and staff are focused on the 21st year and beyond. Just wanted to really just touch briefly on a couple highlights that we're looking at for next year. I know the budget's been released. We've increased the budget by $1.2 million in a year, going up to a $16.3 million budget. That is an expense-based budget. So basically project all the expenses for the next year and then go ahead and kind of back into the assessments. With everything that's impacting the budget this year, I'll be honest, I was surprised to see that the increase was only 1.9%. Below is a list of just a few of the larger items that impact our budget. Obviously, we've got coal and inflation hovering on either side of 6% there. That's, every newscast you turn on, it's there, it's in your face. It's a reality. We're there, we're not exempt from that. And we're definitely impacted by that, material costs, labor, and just go on, So it's a big thing, a big impact to the association. Trash alone went up $2.43. Not only did we have the increase in our contract, but the county passed on a significant increase in landfill costs. I think $1.60 of that, or plus or minus $1.60, is just going straight to the county through the landfill, and that's per unit per month. So that's a big increase. The $150K of new landscape maintenance is, additional areas we're taking over from the developer. That varies each year, anywhere from Typically, we see it each year going 50 to maybe 100, a little bit over $100,000. We took over some very extensive berming around Town Center South Phase 1, those townhomes, which is quite a bit of landscaping in there. Some of the berms down along Evergreen Mills as well, very extensively landscaped and irrigated. So the irrigation costs are also rolled into that. And then staffing, we've the board's gone ahead and in the finance committee, we discussed the idea of bringing on a finance specialist or manager. So that's in the budget, along with some market rate adjustments for staff that we've been talking about. There's been several local surveys that have been included in those calculations that back those numbers up and really showed the need to get more in line with the market. We've seen significant, like many industries, we've seen significant turnover over the last year to 2 years during COVID. So we are looking for ways to address that. So those are just some of the reasons for the increase, but overall, just 1.9, I'd love to stay at 0, but that's, the reality is we needed to increase it to cover our existing services and then a couple of these enhancements, very few enhancements in the overall budget, but really just trying to keep up with inflation there and growth. Events and programs, that's another thing I didn't know. So last year's budget, we had basically budgeted half of an events program we expected to come on. So that was about $100,000. We've now put that other $100,000 back in there. So we're back, to kick off 2022 with a full events program. Hopefully COVID and the related conditions cooperate with us. That is primarily offset, at least by about 80% with income. So while the budget still increases, $100,000, you've got that offsetting income, but overall the net is still an increase to the overall budget, but not necessarily a similar increase to assessments. Evermont Trace parcel. So, if you listened to any of our recent, or read any of our recent communications just this past Friday, we settled on a 1.73 acre parcel in Evermont Trace, which is a neighborhood down there off Evergreen Mills Road. This parcel is in a PDIP, which is industrial park zoning. And the board really felt that they would be the best neighbors for this community, and that would meet the need of office and a permanent office and permanent maintenance facility. So that's for the raw land. We're moving forward with plans. The residents will be involved, and we'll look to address and minimize any impact we bring to that neighborhood as part of that process. Another huge thing, it's not necessarily association related, but it is hugely community related. And yes, the two go hand in hand. Hanson Park opens as well as the Silver Line. So hopefully we'll have Hanson opening this spring, and Silver Line May, June timeframe is what they're shooting for now. Keep in mind, Silver Line has their own issues, and that is kind of a moving target, but the impacts of both of those facilities are going to be huge to our community next year and beyond, because of the location and the proximity to our community. Belmont Ridge Safety Study, I was hitting up Tony's office this week trying to get some latest and greatest updates on here. Supervisor Buffington, who was a former board member here and started in Brambleton and on this board, on our grounds committee and up through the board. But Tony, Supervisor Buffington, took this initiative to the county supervisors. They've approved a significant funding for this study, which is a comprehensive funding looking at Belmont Ridge Road from basically the firehouse up north to Briar Woods. They have begun the study. What I was trying to get is a nugget, and that's all I've got. And we already knew they started it. We're looking for a time frame. I really want to get a timeline so we can get that out. So people kind of set people's expectations of the timeline and then the process, because anytime we're dealing with the county or VDOT, it's not a quick process. So just to set those expectations, it's not something we'll necessarily see in a month or two. It could be 6 months, a year, maybe longer. We don't, just working with the local municipalities and VDOT is never an easy task. And then redistricting is a big thing. That's not directly related to the association, but I know in the past, associations have come together and worked on plans and submitted their primary objectives, which is kind of where the county is right now, looking at primary objectives. I've sat through a couple of meetings regarding that with other associations, and we're just looking to, hopefully do something that's in the best interest of Brambleton. Ideally, I believe the board and most associations don't want to necessarily split the community into multiple districts. So a fight to keep Brambleton in one, and whether we benefit from being in a Western district or not, I'll leave that out there. But, there's big differences between Brambleton and our neighbors and then the neighbors to the west. So
Rick, if I can just say something, I don't know if anybody's looked at this yet, anybody online, please do so, regardless of if I'm here or not, but of the 9 proposed redistricting line drawings, Brambleton was chopped in 6 of them. So we don't stay together as a community, and 6 of the currently proposed doesn't mean they're going to adopt any of these, but just so everybody knows that we went through this 10 years ago and we kind of got pushed to a Western district, and it is what it is. So I think everybody should kind of take a look at it and, let Tony Buffington and the rest of the supervisors know your thoughts on the matter. So,
And there's online tools as well that
Yeah.
you can create your own.
okay.
And if I may add, this is Ram on the line. Not sure if you guys hear me speaking.
We can.
Yeah.
So if I may add, there's a workshop on the tools tomorrow at 11 a.m. where the county is walking through the tool that's been put together. Actually, it's on Thursday morning. Excuse me. It's a local that the county is putting together for people to walk through the tool and how they can create their own plan and submit it accordingly. So that's another resourceful information there.
Cool. Thank you, Ron.
All right, thanks, Rob.
yeah, that's something we didn't have 10 years ago. Was online too.
Yeah.
It would be nice. Calculator, paper, spreadsheets, and maps. So some big stuff coming to Brambleton next year, from redistricting to the county park to the metro to what we're doing in-house. It's a lot going on. There's always a lot going on. And it's just, another year and chugging away, right? So it's exciting. I'm not going to play this because supposedly there's audio issues. We will get this posted out there.
You just want to give it a shot and see if somebody hears it?
Or you don't think they're.
You don't think they're going to hear it?
I don't think they'll hear it. This is more than just music.
Yeah, there's a lot of documents, I think, right?
Yeah, it's all. So basically what this is, at last year's annual meeting, the developer updated or provided an update to the association, to the residents in attendance about several rezonings. They are continuing to move forward with several of those rezonings. The one on the southern end of the community, which is basically on the south side of the Broad Run. When you go down Belmont Ridge, you cross over that little creek, and right before you get to the new Arcola Mills Road, there's that parcel there to the left, actually on both sides of the street. So the developer is moving forward with a rezoning for that. That will be a PDIP industrial park rezoning, which opens it up to light and medium duty industries. And so that's one. This is, my summary. So definitely look at the video. Just on the other side of the creek there, former Creighton Road, there's a Creighton Road rezoning, which is next to the barn, just east of the barn. And that the developer is moving forward both with the rezoning there. They speak to a little bit more about the timing and the specifics there, as well as the parcel across from CVS. So down there at Evergreen Mills and North Star. those two, I think, are actually tied together.
PDIP as well?
No, it's going to be residential and then that's going to be mixed use is the CVS is. Yes, it's currently PDIP or some sort of PD or industrial. So they're looking for residential. And then a mixed use, I think that CVS is currently commercial. They're going to do a mixed use commercial residential there. But check out their video for more details and specifics, and don't quote me on anything I just said. I'll hold you to it. Yeah, if you have it, I don't have it with me. We can share it out. So that is it for the presentation portion of it. We do typically go into a resident forum. We've asked residents to submit several questions. I think last year we did both questions, submitted questions, as well as opened up the floor. I have a list of 5 questions that came out over through the HOA and chat and maybe others, but one question came out about the Legacy Park tennis court resurfacing. It's got cracks in there. It is due to be resurfaced. And I say resurface, it's a full drop the fence, pull up the existing concrete or existing asphalt and basically relay the base. Our struggles there over the years has always been that there's a wonderful 3-foot pipe that runs right through the middle of it. So obviously when it comes to weather and temperature, and it's very difficult to keep that stable, and therefore the cracks. So we are looking at how to improve that. We looked at this prior to COVID. Some quotes came back very high, but ultimately a concrete base may be needed and then asphalt over the concrete versus a typical gravel base with the asphalt. So more to come on that, but that is planned. Basically through our reserve study that we just had updated, and it's been on schedule for this upcoming year. There's a question about airport monitoring. What is the HOA doing? And then board members, you can help jump in anytime you want. But the airport was here before the community. It's been kind of the position of the boards over the years to basically, there are neighbors, they exist, and we really haven't done much in the way of monitoring or attempting to alter flight paths and stuff. That's more, I think, of a transportation issue and county issue, and then it is an HOA, but it's kind of outside of the responsibilities of the association and our governing documents, which focus on our community. So that's a tough one, but obviously we know it impacts the community. Questions about yard waste. This is something we do see. Yard waste has always been a difficult. It's cyclical, depending on the time of year and what goes. So, it's a tough one that Republic has. They often kind of take a quick glance down the street, to be honest with you. Sometimes there's something we are continually riding them on. We've just recently seen the uptick with the leaves, because you start off strong with grass growing and spring cleanup, dies down when the turf goes dormant in the middle of the summer and picks back up in the fall. So it's a matter of staff keeping on them. We continually trade emails. The rest of the service is steady and dependent. Yard waste is always one of those that is just tough. And on top of it, they're seeing similar concerns with COVID and just hiring, and the CDL world is a huge things you hear about with the truck drivers. And, they're continually retraining and hiring and retraining, because they lose their, what would you rather do? Sit in a cush, hauler, or would you want to be on the back of a dump truck, or, dumping trash? So it's a tough one for them. And they know it's an industry-wide issue. It's not unique, but it is a fact of life. developer appointed board positions. How many are there and how long and when do they expire? We currently have 2 on the board. Per our documents, they are on the board or can be on the board. And so this, yeah, it can be on the board basically as long as the developer's here and then even beyond. There's some language in there, years beyond or years beyond the last property that was annexed. It's kind of complicated and really takes an attorney to give you a proper.
I suspect it won't be that long.
Yeah. So we are, when it comes to development, we've got probably less than 1,000, right around 1,000 or a little bit less than 1,000 homes left. So you're talking a few more years. Is most likely the thing, but that's really ultimately a developer's decision. They could turn around tomorrow and say, you know what, we've had enough. We're done.
Just to clarify,
So it's-
we need the board position will expire, not the people.
Yes, I appreciate
Positions, all
that.
right. I just get rambling, yes.
Thank you, Sue.
And then the barn's always out there. And the barn is out there. You've probably seen more work on the barn in the last month than we've seen in the last 20 years. They've been doing a lot of exterior work. They've put in a turn lane coming off of Evergreen Mills. They are putting in a drive. They've dropped a bunch of gravel for a parking lot. They are primarily working on the exterior, but they don't have a timeline. They're not willing to release that at this point. Depending on where they are, there's a point where they were just going to look at doing an amphitheater and then come back and do the rest of the building. I think now they're moving to doing an entire facility and and move forward. That is a facility that will not come to the association. That is a facility that will remain with the developer. At least that's the word I've received, and it's been the case for years. So, but it will be available to the community for use and other civic uses.
A couple people did raise their hand. I see.
Those are
A lot of chat going on.
questions I have, or the questions that were submitted. See Lee Duvall, you out there? You got your hand up? Lee, what you got?
I think it's
All right, anyone else has any questions for the board or for staff? Go ahead and just raise your hand.
We address what's
You
in
can-
Q&A.
There's
Oh,
hands raised, it's just you can't see.
there's a couple of things in chat and Q and A. Is there any- Okay, I'm sorry.
chat, you can see the chat. 3 questions.
The hands are right up next.
In the Q&A part, there are 3 number highlighted.
What? I'm not gonna read that. Lee, what are you doing? Just wanted to thank Rick and crew. All right, thanks. But also, just wanted to thank the entire board for
Nice.
serving. So
Thank you.
Lee.
Thank you.
That's nice. I like that.
There's only,
The Q&A.
yes, so there's a question here about if there is an increase in maintenance costs, should the new units basically offset those? And yes, but it's never, the timing is never at the same time. So we'll get the units in and it'll be 2 or 3 years typically before we take on the land and it catches up. Because the developer has to not just sell that house, build the house, but then they have to do everything to get off bond, which in some neighborhoods, 5 or 6 years, but typically like to see a 2, 3, 4 year time frame on that. So they never hit at the same time, and that's part of the reason there.
It's always a moving target.
Yeah, if you raise your hand, we can go ahead and unmute you.
But there's one in Q and A up there. I see.
Tracy is.
Tracy?
Tracy, you got? You got a question?
I have a quick question. You may not have the answer to this off the top of your head, and that's okay. The asphalt schedule for the walking trails. Some of the trails are in desperate need of work, ceiling as well as the top. So do you guys just keep a regular schedule for that?
Yeah, that's outlined in our reserve study. And there are
Right.
some trails that are due for paving next year.
Okay, so it'll get done next year.
Yeah, some of them will,
Okay.
depending on where you're looking and what your concern is.
Okay,
I
I'm
think there's some in
specifically,
Legacy Park.
okay,
There might be
right.
some along Ryan Road, some of the older, obviously it'd be the first cycle that we've done for any repaving of the trails.
Okay,
Something I haven't told the board yet, but I'm gonna plant the seed now, is as we look at these trails, because some of those earlier trails are only 4 or 5 feet wide, where when you go through the community, they're 8 to 10 foot. And for selfish reasons, maintenance, snow removal, those 4 and 5 foot trails are very difficult to maintain because you can't put a piece of, a snowplow down it, where the 8 and 10, we can run our gator down, or even on some of the 10s, run our truck down along the side of, North Star. So part of that would be not only to pull from reserves, but possibly some capital to move that 5 foot trail to maybe an 8, 6 or 8 at a minimum.
Consider the seed planted.
So planted.
so
Makes sense.
with the discussion about the trails, has there been any additional discussion about adding additional trails? Like, I think it was done 2 years ago. There were additional portions added to the existing trails.
We
Has there
can
been
do connectors where we have land.
Okay.
It's very difficult to come in after the fact
Mhm.
and do a larger, longer, continuous trail because we don't have the land or we don't have the easements. Those
Okay.
really are, that's the job of the developer up front to kind of establish those. But where we see there is a larger trail that we want to put a connector in, like we did
Right.
down off Mayan Gold, we did a couple off Trent
Right.
Road. We added some connectors to get improved access to the larger system. Those are
Right.
easier done than let's put a trail from Creighton North up through some of the older neighborhoods where we just don't have that continuous easement or common.
That should
Right.
be something that our facilities committee reviews, our grounds and grounds facilities review and
Yeah,
make it
I mean, they
those
would be
connectors.
involved, yeah. But typically, a lot of that stuff comes from residents' requests.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah, no,
Staff
through
will just
residents,
look
right.
at it and then,
Tracy, are you talking about any place in particular?
Well, I there are a few places, but I guess I'm referring to the connectors, and I just was curious to know if there are any additional plans, if there's been any discussion. If not, then I'm happy to put a few of the locations that I had in mind in an email and send it out for review. I just was curious because I know it was done a few years ago. I didn't know if there was additional information out there of maybe a list that of what would be like a second phase or whatnot. That's all.
yeah, so far when we've done them, they've been kind of tied.
Okay.
The ones we did, the most we've done is really around Morning Walk Park. And how do you get access to Morning Walk Park? We improved the park, but how do you get from some of the adjacent neighborhoods?
Okay.
But yeah, we're open for it. You can just send that to myself or operations@brambleton.org.
Okay. Okay. That was my question.
If a resident wants to do the reserve study, where can they find that?
So as soon as the board approves or accepts the reserve study at their December meeting, we can put it out to all the residents. Right now, we've got a 3-year-old reserve study. The finance committee just recommended its approval. Will go to the board at the December meeting.
Okay.
And then once the board approves it, it's open to the world or to Brambleton residents at least.
Yeah.
And typically, those documents, those little more sensitive documents, and this kind of, I think actually just wrote an article for the upcoming magazine on this, just, this theme of being transparent. There's certain things we throw out into the general public on our website, which is not password protected. But then there's stuff that really are just for residents and owners' eyes, only really owners' eyes. And that's, pretty much industry-wide standard. And, there's legality associated with that. So those are behind password protected. We refer to that FSR Connect resident portal, or basically FSR Connect is short. And that has all the board meeting minutes, all our financial reports, our audits, the reserve studies, the budget we put on both. But that's got all the nitty gritty about how we operate and where we're at financially and all that good stuff.
I think Ram has a hand up.
Ram raised a hand.
I don't think I took control back from saying something. Not that it matters at this point, but there. So,
Oh, what?
He just messaged to be let into the building. So he's getting Harsha is next.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good with my question. I think it's taken care of. Thanks.
Yeah, we got someone coming down.
that was Harsha. Yeah.
Harsha, you out there? You hear us?
Good evening. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Perfect. All right. Good evening. Good to see the board and all the candidates running. I wish you all the best. Rick, I know I have a couple of questions, maybe three, I would say. So if nobody is there, then I would like to shoot. The number one is, I know since going into COVID, or before going into COVID, it was thinning down the social events, and then the COVID pretty much nailed it, right? So going forward next year, what are the plans? Where are we going to have the events? Since the town center is pretty much, as we all know, it's pretty occupied. So are we going to have them on the streets? Have we going to have them in the parking lots? Or is there any designated space? What is the plan to have this socialization be back in 2022?
So good question, and a good thing, to understand is we are running out of land to have the major festivals, the fireworks, etc. We started doing this push, to try to get into the neighborhoods a little more, with the block party trailer and these pop-up events. So that's kind of how we've done it. It wasn't just totally COVID related, but also the trailer's here to stay. How do you get to know you and your neighbors on adjoining, 3 or 4 streets? How do you, start, making some of those relationships? And part of that is because we are limited. For 2022, we have the ability to stay down and host on the festival site next to the barn. And that is a temporary site, the developer's allowing us there while they go through the rezoning process. We're looking at what do you do with legacy? I mean, that's really the only place we've got that's sizable. Olympia, the developer still has plans to turn Olympia over to the association. Timing's unknown there. But how do you take Olympia, legacy, and start shaping that event? The events we had 3-4 years ago may not be the events we have 2, 3, 4 years from now. So that's something, a question the staff and the board needs to figure out.
Can we not leverage the Hanson Park?
We've got Hanson. Another seat I tried planning years ago when I was on the Parks and Rec board was fireworks at Hanson. We'll do it, but I know how protective the county is of their fields, and that park is, any open space is pretty much, there's 17 athletic fields. I'll just leave it at that, with irrigation, with sod, some are turf. So the reality of being able to light off fireworks from Hanson is unknown, even though that.
Is there an alcohol issue as well with Hanson?
Yeah, the county has the alcohol issue too.
They just had a hearing about allowing alcohol under certain circumstances.
Do they? Okay, I know they allowed it for their stadium, the soccer stadium.
Right. I think it's a bigger question to kind of address this at the planning commissioner, because I've followed through this for the last 5 years, and it's kind of going down the socialization part in the Brambleton. So the board, the developer, we all have to take a kind of an action to make it happen. So, instead of just shoving away or pushing things away, which is probably going to affect the bigger community. And especially I can see how it's happening in this race. My second question is another one important, which is obviously we all know the North Star starting from Route 50 towards in the Aldi section is opening up, or at least the ground broke. That means in another few years from now, the Belmonte / North Star Boulevard is going to connect to Route 50. So I'm sure that's the study that's being done, I'm assuming. And I had a conversation long ago with Tony Buffington and saying that if that happens, what is the impact for those residents staying around this area to get in and get out? And would we have a inner line to be able to merge and go on with our lives? Or what is the impact? So we need to kind of start thinking about it now as a Brampton HOA board and then make plans so that we're not taken by surprise and we don't have to go protest or do things like that. We should start thinking about it. So is there any plan in place for that from the board?
So the plan in place is the county transportation plan. And they've identified North Star as I think they term it as a major collector road. And as a major collector, North Star could potentially be 6 lanes, 3 in either direction. I know the county just redid their transportation plan, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. They typically don't, it's a 20-year plan. They typically update it every 15 years or something. So I'm, from the board's perspective, I don't think there really hasn't been much attention to it. It's really, it's between that and Loudoun County Parkway. It's been on the plan really from day one to be these major collectors. And some of it's buyer beware when you buy into the neighborhood. But outside of that, the Safety and Security Committee isn't looking at it. The board really hasn't looked at it.
We can facilitate as a HOA, we can facilitate how residents can give input and collectively take that feedback and be able to present it as a huge community, right? Not just 1 or 2 individuals finding out, hey, what would be a problem be if this becomes 6 lane, right? Will I be able to get in, get out? Will I be able to make a left turn, get into the school zone? So what are the impacts? And probably parents, residents who are living here can give that experience and can share that. And we don't have to wait till the D-Day. And I've seen this happen all the time. We don't want to wait till the D-Day. That's my thoughts on the new board, whoever gets elected. I think they should start working on this. Moving on to question 3 is the zoning, right? Obviously, zoning is happening. People are going to pull left and right. Is there a possibility, just like how tomorrow there is a session that Ram said, is there a possibility for us to have as a board again, as HOA, to say, hey, residents, here's a forum. Why don't you all come and share your ideas and thoughts, how you want to zone it? I mean, you can sit at home and do it. That's true. But collectively, when you have that kind of a meeting, people will kind of gain knowledge and understand. And then collectively, we can submit that this is the plan Brampton wants to. And again, don't wait for the D-Day. When you get split into 6, then you don't wake up and, just like Tony and Brian, who went and fought for the freight carrier. I was part of that. I was seeing there. So we don't want to wait till the D-Day. We can always be proactive. And this is where the board and the HOA can facilitate people to take action.
Well, it will go, they'll have to notify adjacent property. And so HOA having adjacent property will be able to coordinate and provide comments. So I'm not sure it will be a design charrette to speak, but there will be time for the community to have some input.
Yeah. If the last process holds true, and Rick, you've been at some of these meetings, that they boil down, 20 or 30 plans down to 10, they slowly kind of work them and they start working numbers and neighborhoods get swapped back and forth. And for a while there, it quite honestly, 10 years ago, it got kind of ugly because there were neighborhoods getting split off into different areas and all this sort of stuff. And, we were lucky, quote unquote, to stick together.
Well, I think he's talking about individual property rezoning, not the redistricting.
Oh, I thought he was talking about redistricting.
That's what I thought.
No, he's talking about the properties.
Yeah.
I apologize.
But Brian, you bring up a good point about redistricting.
Yeah.
How that North Star corridor is handled. If it's one supervisor that we all report to, we'll have more say and impact in VDOT than we do if it's 2 or 3.
Tony tried to posit something. Tony Buffington, our current supervisor, whether we'd be better off with 1 or 2.
Yeah. Right.
He gave me kind of that pitch, right? Thinking that perhaps as a sizable community, having 2 representatives on the Loudoun County Board would be better for us. I don't know, right?
That's a good point, Brian, actually. having two of those.
Some areas.
Yeah.
Just a real small piece.
Yeah.
Just-
Turnout has the
Just a little.
water tower.
Yeah.
Townhomes.
Yeah, Harsha, that's something, trust me, that, Tony and I have recently even discussed. So it's going to be interesting when we go through this whole process, because that election would be not next year, 2023, I think would be the new district would be in place at that point. So something to think about, right? So.
But it might mean maybe there's a committee of, that's developed within Brambleton to
Oh,
keep an
yeah.
eye on the redistricting and see what's going on.
Yeah, we did a whole bunch of stuff
Yeah, yeah.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yes, that's something we should probably, in fact, it might be worthy of, the next board come
Well, it is.
December, put a special committee in place.
It is more than just keeping an eye. It's
Oh, yeah, that's what I mean,
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
I can't even fucking hear it. I'm right next to it.
work relationships
Yeah.
with other HOAs.
Yeah.
Similar,
Yeah.
it's
And maybe we should,
to
maybe
be heard, really.
we should think about a special committee but that'll be perhaps up to you guys. So.
I actually attended a meeting last night with that. Forget their name, Loudon Coalition, Loudon HOA and Condo Coalition or Loudon.
I'm sure you and I
One that we went-
Yeah,
yeah,
like you
yeah.
just- So they tried to kick off, and went right into COVID, and then now they're back.
Okay.
They're looking at that, and some of the folks on that are people we were with 10 years ago, who, and then the talk was going on last night. So it's more to come from that coalition and to see where they're going.
But I think it's also important to look at North Star and going north, Belmont Ridge North is now a contract for construction.
Right.
So that's going to bring.
Ramas, yes, sir.
So if I can add a quick couple of things to Harsha's questions. One is on the North Star Boulevard. I know Supervisor Letourneau has been heavily involved in that project. Sections of North Star Boulevard is in Dulles District.
Yeah.
So there's a piece of information that I think he has a event, town hall style coming up, Pardon Our Dust on December 1st, specifically around North Star Boulevard. So I'm sure sections in
From 50 there east.
I'm sure, that I think he has some inputs on this section of North Star Boulevard as well. So, I can send information on that. And also on the workshop for Thursday, if you guys want to share that with the community or, with the board, however you guys want to socialize it, I can send information excerpts for those two, however you want to, take forward with that.
Yeah, as far as North Star goes, we got work going on all around us. It hasn't necessarily begun, but just recently was it Croson North Croson North? That's getting started, and they've been moving utilities for there for over a year now.
But the other piece isn't.
Ours is 2 years out.
I mean, north of that, I believe, from crossing to the.
Toll Road, to.
No,
Turlock Parish.
True Roads, that's the last segment.
Right, and that's got, they issued
There's
a
part of
kind
it
of
that Tony
construction.
just sent an email that's 2023 as part of Belmont Ridge.
Well, I'm not sure.
Before finish?
2023.
Yeah, no, I see that, because it's gonna take 2 years, but we're 2 years out heading south or whatever, I guess,
Got it.
east, west, whatever it is.
South.
From,
yeah.
sorry, north,
Kind of.
south, there you go. Damn,
To 50.
I'm losing it, Rez. The big holdup there, that has been funded for years. It's been designed for years. It was the holdout for land acquisition. And I heard that they've got all the land they need. And so they'll start breaking ground and.
I'm sure Letourneau wants that.
You mean on North Star going towards?
Our portion from Brambleton to 50.
Oh, yeah.
They just broke ground on Letourneau's section from 50
Okay.
east, south. It's late.
I didn't think they had a contract. for that
Stone Ridge
yet.
section.
Okay.
Yeah, I think contracts are out.
Okay.
I think the plan is to actually finish it by 2024,
Yeah.
winter 2024.
Yeah.
It's gonna be connected.
That's something to,
I'm not sure, so maybe we can count on that.
Well, that's moved a couple of times.
Yes.
for land acquisition. Yeah.
Right.
All right. Anything else out there? Seeing no hands up. Last call. Questions?
there's that one thing in Q and A there. Is that a question or? I see something just kind of hanging there.
There's a question about the COLA. Basically, we pulled that from what's been advertised and just recently adopted. I'm not going to get into how it's calculated and stuff, but I leave that to the experts.
All right, with that said, any other questions out there? I think. Or any closing remarks you want to?
No, in fact, Sam, I was going to give you closing remarks since this is
Don't have
officially
anything
your
to
last
say about
meeting. So go right ahead.
Yeah, so was a good 3-year journey, although there was 1 year of 1.5 years of COVID in between. But well, all in all, it was a good experience, very insightful, and none to the least, I would say, is like there's a lot of work that actually happens within this HOA office. And thank you, Rick and the team, for actually working it. I mean, and putting us through this process. I mean, it's not easy, all I can say. Yeah, and thank you for all the board members, my fellow board. Appreciate all your inputs in this process. I mean, it was really an experience for me. So,
I'm gonna miss you.
Well, I'll miss you too. All right. And as I said, I wanted to actually host you guys out. And this is what I would want to do is if you guys can take out some time on a Monday evening, I would like to, take you out for a nice dinner. It's on me.
I'm in, so I'm in.
Right.
Sam, been great to have you on the board.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sam. Honestly, the last 3 years have been great. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for all the people who are running and who are all the board. Tomorrow morning, we will know it's a new day again. Hopefully we'll see some people on the board still there.
Well, and that's what I want to say.
New boards as well, so.
We did have 8 people running. There are only
Yes.
2 spots. So the other 6 don't go away.
Yep.
Volunteer for committees, be active, be just anything to stay involved.
Exactly. To that point, I would rather actually, put them, all the 6, whoever are out, should put them on the special committee.
That's right.
Right.
Now that he's leaving.
Right.
Maybe he's volunteering for a special committee.
Governance.
With that, I guess we are done. So guys, thank you. Perhaps I'll still be on the board tomorrow. Perhaps I won't, but I'll say something to the board next time if I'm not. But thank you. We should all know, are you going to put out a message to the community?
Yeah, we'll send it out. I think it went out earlier today. Just last closing note, we're open to 11:59 this evening. Cast your votes. The first step is a registration, then you'll get an email once you register. And then if you don't get the email, check your junk box. And I know it's all been kind of stepped through. It may end up in your junk box. In
other words, don't wait till 11:59.
Yeah.
You might not
Do it
get
now.
that done. Do it now.
Do it now.
You need a motion
Is
to.
there a
adjourn?
motion? from the
Motion to
floor?
adjourn the meeting.
I make the motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second, Ravi.
All in favor? All right.
Great, thank you.
Excellent. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thing?
Shannon's.